They say the past always catches up with you, but for Sarah Ferguson, it never really left. Every time the headlines fade, another story seems to drag her right back into the spotlight. And now, whispers are growing louder that her past connections could cost her more than just her reputation. They could hit her where it hurts most, her wallet. How did a woman once celebrated for her charm end up surrounded by scandal, debt, and disappearing friends? And why do the people and choices she thought she'd left behind keep pulling her name back into controversy? This isn't just another royal fallout. It's the story of someone who's been running from her own mistakes for decades and might finally be paying the price. If you're drawn to the untold truths behind power, privilege, and downfall, hit subscribe, because this story is only getting started. When Sarah Ferguson first stepped into royal life, she was everything the palace didn't know it needed. Loud, funny, and completely unfiltered. She brought color to a world built on silence, laughter to rooms used to restraint. For a brief moment, she was the royal family's fresh start. But behind the flashing cameras and the carefully choreographed smiles, the cracks were already showing. The palace had rules, thousands of them, and Sarah broke most without even realizing it. Her jokes were too informal, her confidence too casual, her energy too much for a system built on quiet control. While others in the royal circle learned to blend in, Sarah stood out, and not in the way courtiers wanted. They called her unpredictable, even reckless. To them, she wasn't modern, she was a problem waiting to happen. Still, she tried. She smiled at every event, played her part, and convinced the world she was happy. But as her husband's duties pulled him further away, realities sunk in. Days became weeks, and weeks became months. Alone, silenced, and constantly reminded she didn't belong. In her own words, she once said she married the man but got the palace. It was the kind of loneliness that eats away quietly, and it was only a matter of time before that silence turned into something louder. Because what came next wouldn't just shake her marriage, it would change her life forever. By the time Sarah's loneliness had turned into something unbearable, the world still saw her as the smiling redhead who brought fun back to the monarchy. But behind closed doors, she was drowning. The palace wanted perfection. She wanted connection. In 1989, during a trip to the United States, she met Steve Wyatt, a confident Texan businessman who didn't treat her like royalty, and maybe that's what drew her in. He was warm, easygoing, and attentive in all the ways her life had stopped being. For the first time in years, someone made her feel seen. Their connection was immediate and dangerous. The friendship quickly crossed into something deeper, even as Sarah was expecting her second child. It wasn't just attraction, it was escape. A way to feel alive again in a world that had turned her into a symbol instead of a person. At first, their meetings were quiet, private dinners, discreet visits, hidden phone calls. But secrets like that don't stay hidden long, especially in royal circles. Whispers turned into headlines. Reporters started asking questions. And when photos surfaced showing Wyatt spending time with Sarah's young daughter, it was over. The palace didn't need confirmation. The message was clear. A royal wife had crossed the line. For the establishment, it wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation. When the story broke, Sarah's image collapsed overnight. The woman who once represented a modern fairy tale was now the villain of a royal scandal. And the worst part? The chaos had only just begun. If the affair had been a spark,
What came next was a wildfire. In the summer of 1992, while staying at a villa in the south of France, Sarah was photographed beside another man, her financial advisor, John Bryan. The pictures weren't just intimate, they were explosive. Within hours, they were on front pages across the globe. Sarah, topless by the pool, Bryan kissing and sucking her toes. The images stunned the world. It wasn't just tabloid gossip, it was a royal earthquake. For a family built on appearances, this was humiliation on an international scale. Behind palace walls, fury replaced silence. Letters were written, doors were closed, and whatever sympathy Sarah once had vanished overnight. Her public image collapsed instantly. The woman once called refreshing was now branded reckless, shameless, and beyond redemption. She became a symbol of royal disgrace, mocked in headlines, ridiculed on television, and quietly erased from the royal inner circle. By the end of that year, her marriage had disintegrated completely. The fairy tale was gone, replaced by scandal and exile. But if anyone thought that would be the last they'd hear of Sarah Ferguson, they were wrong. Because years later, her name would resurface in another story, one that reached far darker corners than anyone imagined.
Years after her fall from grace, Sarah had rebuilt enough of her reputation to stay in the public eye. She wrote books, gave interviews, and leaned into her role as a survivor of royal life. But the calm didn't last. Her name surfaced again, this time linked to one of the most notorious figures of modern times, Jeffrey Epstein. The connection was indirect, but impossible to ignore. Reports revealed that she had accepted financial help from Epstein during a difficult period. Later, an email surfaced, an apology she had written to him years before, one that she claimed was made under pressure. To the public, it didn't matter why she wrote it. The association alone was toxic. Charities she had supported began quietly distancing themselves, anxious to avoid the shadow that followed Epstein's name. For Sarah, the damage was instant, another stain on an already fragile reputation. And just like that, old questions resurfaced. Why did she keep surrounding herself with the wrong people? How could someone who had already lost everything take such reckless chances again? As Epstein's world unraveled, so did Sarah's image, not because she was directly involved, but because her judgment once again seemed fatally flawed. The fallout reached beyond reputation, it threatened her finances too. Without royal support, and with public trust eroding, every bad connection became another door closing. And that's when the whispers started, that her past might soon catch up, not through headlines, but through money. After decades of missteps, Sarah tried once more to rebuild. She became an author, a speaker, a brand, always talking about second chances, always chasing redemption. And for a while, it worked. Her public appearances drew crowds. Her social media glowed with optimism. It almost looked like she'd finally learned how to live outside the royal bubble. But old habits die hard. Every comeback seemed to come with a new controversy. Questionable business deals, shaky partnerships, and tone-deaf endorsements. Each time she tried to rebrand, another story pulled her name back into the chaos she claimed to leave behind. Still, Sarah never disappeared. She kept moving, kept smiling, kept selling the idea that she'd survived what others couldn't. It became her signature, the royal exile who refused to fade away. Yet behind that determination was something else: exhaustion, the kind that comes from living in constant defense mode, from trying to rewrite a story the world refuses to forget. And now, as the financial pressure mounts and her old ties resurface, many wonder if this is the end of her long active survival or just the beginning of another cycle. So, what do you think? Is Sarah Ferguson the victim of relentless scrutiny or the architect of her own downfall? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you enjoy uncovering the stories behind power, privilege, and consequence, subscribe for more untold royal exposés. Because this story is far from over.